Hello, everyone. This is Old School with WhatTheBuck.net, coming to you live from Valrico, Florida. Going to be talking about the Rams and the Bucs this week. Obviously, my beloved Buccaneers are coming off of an ass-whipping at the hands of the New Orleans Saints, which has all of the fence sitters in Tampa jumping off the fence and general disarray breaking out here because the 3-1 record that we had going in has now been called a sham, as we all anticipated if we lost to the Saints. Now, if we come back and beat the Rams, we'll just be told that we're beating a team that isn't ready for prime time. And this is just going to be the way it is the rest of the year, guys. As Bucs fans and Bucs players, you're going to have to put together a lot of wins before you get any respect. And you're going to have to do a lot of that week on week in order to get back to any level of prominence. That being said, the Rams are gaining a lot of attention as they continue to improve week on week. Sam Bradford doing a good job up there despite having his 8 interceptions, which is second in the league. As a young quarterback, he seems to be doing a lot of the right things, and most importantly, the Rams are putting up some wins, and some wins over some quality opponents like the Chargers, despite losses to lack of quality opponents like the Lions. As we see this game shaping up, and I went back and watched the film on the Rams, one of the things I see out of Sam Bradford is the same thing I saw out of Josh Freeman last year, and we still see some this year. It's common with young quarterbacks. He's locking on his receivers, he's staring them down, and he's doing it regardless of whether it's a short route, a quick timing route, or even if he's going into more of a 7-step drop and trying to work the ball down the field to the middle or longer-term routes. He's going on a half, and then he's staying on an individual receiver. That's a dangerous thing to do. It's a dangerous thing as you put more tape up. It's especially dangerous when you have corners that will take risks, like Aqib Talib, even though he's been victimized on those risks, and he's taking a lot of heat for that right now. I think that Aqib Talib matches up well against a young quarterback who's showing those tendencies. Additionally, what you see out of Sam Bradford is, in some ways, very good. He recognizes blitzes very quickly. He immediately goes to the hot route. It's the hot route you'd expect him to go to, which means that you can game plan for it, which means, again, if you have a corner that'll take those chances, that can be good for the Bucs on the defensive side of the ball. Now, all that being said, we haven't mentioned Steven Jackson yet. This is a legitimate top 5 running back in the league. What's scary about Steven Jackson is his combination of strength and power. I'm sorry, that's redundant. Speed and power. When I went back and watched the game, his legs are constantly moving. This is a team that will run pretty much through any gap. They show a clear preference to run right side, specifically around the right guard. But Steven Jackson's going to make one cut, and he's headed downhill. And once he gets someone, he's going to keep his legs pounding and start pushing through. Now, when you see the way the Bucs defense tackled last week against the Saints, you thought, my God, this guy could run for 700 yards. If we play the same defense, he could run for 700 yards. We've got to be able to do what the Tampa 2 defense was predicated on, which is the first guy to the guy, hold him up. Everyone else take your shots and get him on the ground. It doesn't matter what Commissar Goodell said. Put a lick on the guy. I'm not saying injure him. I'm saying hit him. Try and dislodge the ball the way Savvy Piscatelli mentioned in his comments about the NFL's recent crackdown, for lack of a better words, on dangerous hits, which I happen to think is a pile of crap, and simply the NFL protecting their asset. It has nothing to do with player safety beyond the fact that player safety directly affects the coffers of the NFL. At any rate, on the defensive side of the ball for the Rams, and on the final thing on the offensive side of the ball, the receivers over there are injuries to Clayton. Injuries across that receiving core really has left Bradford with very few tools. He's making the best out of it, and to be honest, that's really the only weakness we see there. That offensive line is playing pretty well. They're keeping him upright. The Bucs defense is going to have to get to Sam and going to have to try and do the best they can to contain Steven Jackson, because the offensive coordinator in St. Louis is definitely going to try and give us a heavy dosage of him. Now, on the defense side of the ball, this is a defense that has already racked up 17 sacks this year. For anyone who's not keeping track, we've racked up 4. They had 7 sacks last week against the Chargers. They almost doubled our year's sack output in one game. Chris Long is playing like a man. A lot of these guys are. They're playing good, violent football, as Raheem would say. But they are not disguising their blitzes. This isn't about esoteric blitz plans and schemes. They're going to show you where they're coming from, and then they're just going to come. And you either stop them or don't. If you stop them, you can get big plays. If you don't stop them, guess what? You're going to get punched in the mouth. Now, with the Bucs, a couple of things that I did notice when we were looking at that, and they do the same thing we do. They run out of their 4-3. They run out of a 3-4. Laurinaitis, as a linebacker, is a downhill guy. He's going to make his read, and he's going to hit his gap. He's also going to try and hit the flats with the backs coming out. That does leave a bit of a gap for routes. And I know that Olsen loves those tight end drags. Typically, he runs them about 3 yards deep when we need about 5 yards for a first down, which enrages me. But that's a play that actually can work well against this defense. As Laurinaitis gets too far in and that defense gets too far in, you can hit that tight end behind him and actually have some room for him to turn the ball upfield. More interesting in my mind, however, would be to use Sammy Strouder out of the slot to run those routes, because if you can get him the ball in space, there is space against this defense, typically the way they set up in that intermediate route. Those drags are something that should be open, something we could hit, generally speaking. Now, the Rams defense also, at least against the Chargers, I didn't get a chance to watch anything beyond that. They like to blitz off the right-hand side. The right-hand side of their defense, so the left-hand side of the Bucs offensive line. So we're going to have to be aware of that, pick those blocks up, and make the reads, get the ball delivered, and move down the field. They are not afraid to leave their corners on an island. Josh saw that against the Saints. We took our shots. We didn't hit the shots. Josh took the right shots in some cases. Some cases he was trying to go too far. Greg Olsen said that in the interview he had later that week. But we're going to have to take advantage of those times where they leave their corners out there on an island. We're going to have to take the shot and actually convert. We saw the Rams do that against the Chargers. When the Chargers sent too many people and they went to a single deep safety, they'd run a combo route, draw the safety in, and Bradford would just play pitch and catch with his receivers. Statistically, these are two teams that line up pretty well. The Rams are 20th in offensive yards per game, 28th in scoring. We're 22nd and 29th, respectively. Defensively, they're only giving up 18.8 points a game, and they're really kind of coming around. So we're going to have to see if we can actually get the job done. I do think the Bucs can pull this one out. I don't think that they're nearly as bad as they looked against the Saints. I said it in my other video, you're never as good or as bad after a game as you think you are. I think that Raheem knows what's going on here. I think he's going to do exactly what he said he's going to do, which is simplify some of the things on defense. We've got to get that front four to get some pressure. I don't care what the front four looks like. I don't care if Brian Price is out because of a pelvis injury, whether it's Ryan Sims in there or Roy Miller. By God, we've got to be able to, like Derek Brooks said when he was on the radio, whoop the guy in front of him and get some pressure and start disrupting these plays. We cannot just let offenses run their plays and not see any sort of resistance until the second level. I do think the Bucs pull out a win. I think they get their win at home in front of the paltry 39,000 or so that'll be in attendance, 24-14. And I look for a big game out of the two people I already mentioned, Sammy Strouder and Aqib Talib. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you found this informative. Rate it up. Let me know what you think, and I will see you after the game for a post-game recap.